Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning to you on this Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. I'm Tisha Hines, here for another Morning Barbados presentation. And we just have a few days left before Christmas 2024. I certainly hope you're getting all of your shopping in, and we will work today to help build that Christmas spirit. Coming up on today's show, you get a chance to win with the compliments of Standard, and that segment is powered by Flow. That's absolutely right. When we tell you to jingle and win, all you have to do is call us in, call into the station, answer a simple question, and you could be a lucky, lucky winner. Little birdie told me there's a blender up for grabs today and all types of other small appliances as well. So if that's what you've been looking for, or if you're anything like someone I know and you love regifting, why not? It absolutely is something you can do as well. Morning Barbados is brought to you with the proud sponsorship of Jordan's Supermarket at 4 locations, 2 in Bridgetown, Fairchild Street, Baxter's Road, and also up north in Speightstown, and on the west coast, they are located at Fitz Village. So head on in and make Jordan Supermarket your top choice for high quality products and excellent customer service. Visit any of their locations and shop and enter the Spend and Eat competition. How about that? Get a chance to win $100,000 in free groceries, plus large screen TVs to be won every single month. And this goes up until the end of January. So here's how to enter. For every $50 spent in cash purchases at any branch, you receive an entry form. Fill each form by clearly printing your name, address, and phone number, and then place it in the box provided at the supermarket where you shopped. There will be draws at each supermarket on Wednesday each week for 5 $200 grocery vouchers. Tomorrow is Wednesday, people. You still have some time. You have until Friday, January 31st to enter, with the final grocery draw taking place on Wednesday, February 5th. So make it Jordan's Supermarket. You can also follow them at Jordan Supermarket BB on Instagram, or head to their website, jordansupermarketbb.com. Now we want to get started, as we often do on Tuesday mornings, with Ambassador Kwame Shung, who's here for conversations on CARICOM. Good morning to you. Always great to have you here.
Good morning, Tisha, and let me take this opportunity to wish you Merry Christmas in advance.
We're not going to see you before Christmas?
I suspect this is probably our last conversation on CARICOM for the year.
Before Christmas?
Next Tuesday will be
Let me check.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but you will be here, won't you?
You
Yes,
really?
you will be. I'm checking the clock.
Anyhow, I wish you Merry Christmas. If I have to do it a second time, then
That's okay.
yeah, it's
I
twice
would
as good.
I would most definitely accept. So this morning you want to bring us up to speed on how CARICOM is working on tackling crime throughout the region. This is a challenge that really exists across the region. There's no one territory that's spared.
Yes, well, I thought that perhaps the best note on which to end conversations on CARICOM in 2024 is to look at how CARICOM is addressing this issue that perhaps has been the number one issue on the minds of Barbadians throughout the course of this year. You know, we had a surprising upsurge in murders, and especially gun-related murders this year. We jumped from 21 in 2023. I think we're at 49 now. So this, but as you said, it's not just Barbados, it's right across the region. And in fact, Barbados has one of the lowest homicide rates. So you could imagine what's happening with several of our fellow CARICOM member states. So yes, we want to look at what CARICOM is doing to address this issue.
Now we're going to take a look at the regional symposia that CARICOM held addressing crime and violence. And the interesting perspective is now kind of taking on the face of being labeled as a public health issue.
Yeah.
How do you think that will change the approach and certainly how we're able to manage the fallout from gun crime specifically, but crime and violence generally?
Well, so CARICOM has come with this novel approach of seeing crime and violence as a public health issue, a public health emergency. And they got our Caribbean Regional Public Health Agency to work out a definition. So let me share the definition of crime and violence as a public health issue, right? The public health approach to violence and crimes is a systemic, multidisciplinary, evidence-based framework that seeks to understand, prevent, and mitigate violence and crime by addressing their societal, behavioral, and environmental determinants. This approach applies public health principles such as surveillance, risk, and protective factor identification, intervention, monitoring and evaluation to reduce the incidence, impact, and recurrence of violence and crime. This approach involves multi-sectors, including law enforcement, health, education, academia, social services, and community stakeholders working collaboratively to design and implement interventions to reduce harm, enhance public safety, and build cohesive communities. So, an all-of-society approach, a multi-sector approach, not simply seeing crime and violence as something for the police and for the judiciary and for the prison system, but looking at the social determinants of crime. So looking at how our educational system can help, how our health system can help, mental health issues, for example. So that's the new approach that CARICOM is pioneering.
Oh, well, it truly is really refreshing to hear that. Looking at the root causes. Before we move on, though, let's look back at Attorney General Dale Marshall's remarks during the launch of the Alliance for Security, Development and Justice, which took place on the 12th of December.
The Barbados situation has been highlighted at the opening of a two-day Regional Security and Justice Summit hosted by the Attorney General's Office and the Inter-American Development Bank. Attorney General Dale Marshall says 49 is an alarming figure considering the island's size.
For you, 49 may not seem like a significant figure, but 49 homicides in Little Barbados is a big thing for us. But even that statistic speaks to even more concerning social concerns, since of that number, 49, 16 were as a result of stabbings and bludgeonings. The others were from firearms. That 16 that were the results of stabbings and bludgeonings suggests that there may be underlying mental issues, conflict resolution issues, or anger management issues that we also have to embrace and grapple with as countries.
The Attorney General acknowledges the region has to formulate a common plan of action to address the issues of rising crime. He says Barbados therefore welcomes the establishment of the Alliance for Security, Development and Justice, which will be launched tomorrow.
Its objectives, which focus on the protection of vulnerable populations, building institutional capacity in law enforcement agencies, and stemming illicit financial flows, are problems with which the Caribbean region is grappling. This alliance follows on the heels of our own efforts within the region. Last year, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, the region's heads convened in Trinidad and Tobago to examine crime and violence as a public health concern.
All right. Very, very interesting message, sharing some of the concerns that you noted up front, but your takeaways from the AG's presentation.
Well, the first point the AG made was to reflect on the number of homicides in Barbados. And he said to the audience, that Barbados's number might not seem like a big number to you, but for us, it's very, very problematical. And to understand the context of that statement, we have the statistics, the homicide statistics for 2023. I have 13 of the CARICOM countries here. The only country that was below Barbados in 2023 in terms of homicides was Suriname. I don't want to mention the ones that were above us, but just to give an example, right? In 2023, our statistics were we had seven homicides per 100,000 of the population. Other CARICOM countries, 17, 19, 21, 26, 37, 40, 41, 46, 50, 60, 65. So there was one CARICOM country that in 2023 had 9 times the number of homicides as Barbados had, in terms of the population ratio, numbers of homicides per 100,000 of the population. So that just tells you how serious we feel it in Barbados, but it tells you how serious the problem is right across the region. So we were like, the second lowest in 2023. We have had a jump this year, and that's probably going to take, but that jump is probably not going to move our position at all. We will probably still be the second lowest, even though we had that very significant jump. So that's just to give an idea that it's not a Barbados problem. It is really a regional problem, and we're trying hard to address it. So when the AG was speaking at the launch of a new initiative called the Alliance for Security, Development and Justice. And so that's another initiative being sponsored by the Inter-American Development Bank. But as he noted, that is now complementing what CARICOM already started last year when the CARICOM heads of government had that regional summit in Trinidad and Tobago on crime and violence. And then we followed up this year in November. And we had something very unique because we had a second symposium hosted by Barbados, but held in Guyana. So Caribbean Integration in Action. So Barbados had undertaken to host it, but it was coinciding with the heads of government going to Guyana to meet with the President of India. So Barbados and Guyana came together and said, well, okay, Barbados will host it, or we hosted it in Guyana. But the point is that the region has taken these new initiatives since April of last year. And at the symposium in Guyana, we were able to report some progress from last year. So, for example, one of the decisions made last year was that we have to implement the CARICOM Arrest Warrant Treaty. That is the treaty that would allow us, our governments, to arrest CARICOM nationals regardless of which territory they come from, if they're wanted for crime in their home territory. So the legislation has now been developed to put that in place. Last year, we said that we were very concerned about the firearms coming out of the United States. Mexico was suing the U.S. gun manufacturers for their irresponsibility, and several CARICOM countries took a decision that they were going to join Mexico's case. That happened, and perhaps as a result of that, we also said we were going to enhance the Regional Information Ballistics Network. That is the network across the region that does intelligence on illegal firearms, and we are now finally getting the cooperation of the American authorities in greater intelligence about tracking these firearms, most of which come out of the United States of America. We also strengthened the capacity of the Regional Intelligence Fusion Center in Trinidad and Tobago. And so it might be useful, Tisha, just to let viewers know the type of infrastructure that CARICOM has in place for our security. And it was in 2005 that CARICOM decided that security had to be one of the pillars of the integration movement. Prior to 2005, we were dealing with trade and economic integration, functional cooperation, foreign affairs, and in 2005 we decided, look, we also have to make security a pillar. So that was the decision in 2005. By 2006, we established CARICOM Impacts, the CARICOM implementation mechanism for crime and security. That is the CARICOM institution that is charged with carrying out the CARICOM agenda on security, and that is located in Trinidad. And then 2007, Impacts established two sub-agencies. We established the Regional Intelligence Fusion Center in Trinidad. That's the entity that is responsible for gathering all the intelligence about criminal activities, about terrorism-related activities, analyzing it, and making the information available to governments. And then we also established the Joint Regional Communications Center in Barbados. And that is the entity that is responsible for the advanced passenger information system, so that we have, when a plane takes off anywhere in the world coming into our region, we already know before it lands, who is on board, anybody who might have criminal backgrounds, etc., etc. So that is the infrastructure that CARICOM put in place several years ago to kind of protect the security of our region. So I just want viewers to know that infrastructure actually exists. So it's not like we are defenseless. We actually have institutions looking out for us in this area. But the new approach in response to these rising levels, particularly of homicides, is to approach this issue from a multi-sector public health perspective.
How has this impacted how Caribbean leaders are looking at other things that heads of government, CARICOM, you guys really have been working on throughout the years, namely things like just moving forward with free movement and things of that nature? Has it impacted the way of thinking for Caribbean leaders at all, given that we are seeing this proliferation of illegal firearms and having crime rates really go through the roof all across the region?
Yeah, well, it has not affected CARICOM's commitment to free movement because, as I said, it's not like some countries are not suffering it and others are. So we can't say, okay, we isolate the problem to X CARICOM country or Y CARICOM country. It's right across the board. But what we are doing, have the institutions that we have in place, part of the plan is really to enhance and upgrade those institutions. So you would have heard that it was decided last year to enhance the Regional Intelligence Fusion Center in TNT. That was done over the past 12 months, so improvements were made there. At the symposium in Guyana in November, one of the decisions taken was to say to Impacts, CARICOM Impacts, to say to Impacts, you go away and you look at the entire structure, come back to us and tell us where you think there are any weaknesses, where you think you need strengthening, where you might need additional resources. So that was one of the decisions taken. Impacts is to go away and to review this very carefully and to come back to the heads of government. So I think that is how we are approaching it. And the agreement is we have agreed that every CARICOM country will develop and put in place a special program to address this issue using the public health multidisciplinary approach. And I should also say, Tisha, that we are also receiving a lot of assistance from the Caribbean Court of Justice, because in last year, the Caribbean Court of Justice held a symposium here in Barbados, and they came up with a plan, a declaration known as the Needham's Point Declaration. And in fact, the heads of government were so impressed with what the CCJ, the judges, the judicial officers, they're thinking, that they have endorsed the Needham's Point Declaration, and they are now taking the Needham's Point Declaration and turning it into an action plan, which will be implemented. They also have agreed to put resources behind it. This new approach. So the CARICOM Secretariat, for example, is to develop a contribution formula for a Barbados 5 million fund to help with some of these developments. A task force has been set up to look at drafting new legislation, because if we are going to do these new approaches, a whole set of new legislation is going to be required. At the symposium in November, the heads of government agreed on a whole set of interventions. A critical one, you would have heard our AG speak about the mental health aspect of some of these crimes. So that was recognized, that there is a serious mental health problem that needs to be addressed, and that is going to be one of the central elements of addressing crime and violence from a public health perspective. There's going to be a lot more mental health interventions, a lot more interventions at the level of the school system. There's going to be a big focus on rehabilitating offenders. We have this thing, people go to prison, they have a prison sentence, they come out, there's no support structure, nobody will employ them, nobody in the private sector will employ them because they have a prison record. Some of them end up back in crime. So there's a recognition that this is a problem, that we must have programs in place to reintegrate ex-convicts into society. There's also recognition that victims, the children of victims, the children of people who are incarcerated for long periods of time, that there must be programs in place to assist these folk. Otherwise, they can kind of fall off the table. So a whole set of new thinking about the societal and behavioral aspects of crime, and how we can do the interventions.
All right, so it seems like much progress has been made coming out of the various meetings and with the setting up of these various new alliances, so to speak. And of course, hearing more about how we are working across borders to try to make the crime situation better across the region, because we are so small and close, is of utmost importance.
One other thing, Tisha, especially pertinent to CBC, is that the heads have agreed that there's something wrong with a lot of our artistic output, especially the music, that too much of the music is promoting, crassness, crudity, disrespect for women, etc., and that there's an initiative now to bring the artists together to discuss this and to say to the artists, you have a big role to play, and to get them to play that role.
That certainly will be interesting, because I know the last time that happened in Barbados, it was a very interesting backlash from even the public in terms of how they receive that. But that's a conversation for another day. Thank you, as always, Ambassador, for sharing with us.
My pleasure, Tisha.
And I dare say Merry Christmas, because hearing you say that you might not be here next week, I'm gonna believe you. But you know, I checked my calendar, and you're scheduled to be here.
Okay.
So you know, I'm expecting my Merry Christmas then.
Let's see. Let's see what happens.
All right, all the best.
Okay.
Time for a break here on Morning Barbados. When we come back, we're talking with the Barbados Olympic Association about the People's Choice Awards 2024. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited and the Cut and Drive Network brings live coverage of Cricket West Indies Home Series October 31st to December 19th. Join the action, brought to you by Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics. Guardian General Insurance Limited. Live safe, live easy, and the Cut and Drive Network.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So this year, our amazing athletes have shone brightly, not only here and in the region, but across the world. Now you're being given an opportunity to show your appreciation for them through the People's Choice Awards 2024 being staged or put on by the Barbados Olympic Association. So let's go right ahead and say a special good morning to the manager over that at the BOA, Glenn Clark. It's good to have you here.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
And also here's Renee Sion, who is the social media manager at the BOA. Welcome.
Good morning, Tisha.
All right, it's always good to see familiar faces.
It is.
Yeah, I have a story about Renee that I won't tell on air.
No, don't.
I saw you hanging your head already. We'll save that for another day.
Yes, we will.
But this is really, really interesting. Glenn, tell us a little bit, first of all, about how our athletes have in fact done. I know earlier there was much talk about the numbers who have gone out, but we get the opportunity to interview or engage with many of the teams that go out to represent Barbados, and I know they have done quite well.
They have, and they continue to do well. I know, like you said, there's a lot of talk about the number of teams and the number of officials and so on, but we believed at the Barbados Olympic Association that we must support our athletes, and to have the athlete support personnel travel with the teams to make sure that they're comfortable and put everything in place. And this year, as always, the annual awards give us an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of our athletes. I think sometimes we do not understand how well our athletes do, and they're celebrated more outside of Barbados. and among their peers than by our locals sometimes. And we like and take this opportunity that's every year to celebrate them and to honor them and give them the kudos and the respect and so on that they need.
Absolutely. Just to be able to make it to represent your country is a feat in and of itself, but that's the prize right there, to be able to represent your country. There aren't many of us who can say that we have.
And many of them, they qualify, and that's the word that we use. They're not just going to compete, but they have qualified, and they are qualified to be able to compete at the different levels that this year. As you know, we had the Olympic Games, where 4 of our athletes qualified to compete and so on, and we were proud of how they handled themselves and competed there. And at the other various games and championships throughout the federations and the sports throughout this year.
And then to see the difference in terms of the type of athlete who's going this year. We had a first triathlete competing, for example. So it shows that there's definitely growth in the area. So we have indeed had the award ceremony already. Renee, talk to us now about the People's Choice side of things.
Okay, so the People's Choice is a part of the awards, so it's going to be held Thursday, actually. So with this, the athletes, now we spoke about them qualifying and we're trying to honor them. So this, now we try to have Barbadians have their say. Now the athletes represent Barbados on the whole, as we already established. So we want, people are always rooting for them. When you check on social media, from the time we put up a post, there's people sharing. So we understand that the public is invested. So we wanted to find a way where we can engage them and have them. So we have our categories and we're going to honor these particular athletes. But then we know they're always favorites in the public. So we give them the opportunity to come on our social media platforms, cast their votes by just liking the photo on Instagram and on Facebook. They both come together. We always tell them they have to follow the page, and we do have ways that we can figure this out. And I think by now people know how advanced technology is that we know this. So when they see the results come out, they're like, oh, the numbers and it was that we know we can't cheat. But it's all because we want, even after People's Choice, we want you to stay there so that you can see their journey next year. So the whole thing about following in the page is not, oh, we just want our numbers to go up, but we want to continue showing you what our athletes are doing throughout the year. But the People's Choice is always a hit. It's where Barbados get to choose who is their favorite athlete this year. And we have from chess, we got triathlon, we have athletics, we have squash. So we have all of these. I know a lot of people like who actually choose them. This comes from the federations themselves, who's best to actually tell us how they performed, and they nominate people, and then we pull these athletes into a group and we call it the People's Choice, and the public have their chance to vote.
All right, so how many athletes are competing in this category?
We have 13. We have 5 males and the rest are females. Yeah.
All right, well, tell you what, walk me through it, because you have to go follow
Olympic
First of all, you have to go follow. I think I do that already, but I'm just making sure that everybody else is. Right? Okay, so what's
Olympic BB?
Olympic BB. I hope you're doing it with me, okay? You guys at home. I'm already following. Olympic BB.
Yeah, and then you see our grid, and they're all there.
There we have it. So we have Layson for surfing. We have Williams Athletics, Wright for triathlon. Prow is squash, Niles Athletics, Cumberbatch Squash, Gaskin Triathlon, Stout Aquatics, Wilson Chess, Armstrong Triathlon, Golf Odwin, Atherley Squash, Stewart Squash, and voting closes tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, how many unique votes? I don't think you can do that on Instagram, because it's one unique vote, but per photo.
Yes.
So you're going to go by the number of likes?
Yes.
Listen, athletes, you have to trump up your support. Get all your schools and teams and people and family and get these campaigns going. Usually when they're people's choice, at the very last minute, you see people kind of sending out and saying, vote for this person or the other. I wouldn't know where to start.
The
But
schools
I
actually
definitely
do
will
the
do my
campaigns
research.
for them, actually. When we do look and follow who is actually sharing, when I monitor it, you find that the schools pick up the athletes, not just the associations. You find the primary school be like, you went to primary school here, or the secondary schools, and that's how it works. And people run with the campaigns.
All right, that's beautiful. Tell us more about the upcoming awards, Glenn. This, as mentioned, is just a part of it. And again, for this particular People's Choice, we're seeing things like triathlon emerge
Yes.
in such a major way compared to what we've seen in the past. Before, overwhelmingly so, we would see athletics.
Athletics, yes.
Now there's so many other things involved. Chess, for example, surfing, swimming, you name it.
Yeah. You know, but chess, as you mentioned, has recently come on to the part of the Olympic program as a sport in the Central American and Caribbean Games. So chess has now found its right to be on the Olympic program. Then we have, like you said, triathlon. The triathletes have been making tremendous strides over the last couple of years. But the awards, as Renee said, is going to be held on Thursday at the Wyndham Grand Barbados Resort, Grand Sound Lords Resort. And we're going to be starting with dinner. We're asking our federation, the athletes, and those who will be attending to be seated by 6:50. As the President of Barbados, Her Excellency Dame Sandra Mason, will be in attendance. She is the patron. She's our patron. And we start, after dinner, we start at 8:30 with broadcast here on CBC. With the actual awards, we'll be presenting the winners and those who will be just having recognition awards and so on. Among that will be the junior and senior male and female athletes of the year. We will have the president of the BOA, her President's Awards, and then other, not just athletes, but administrators who would have completed courses and done really well. I think we don't give them enough kudos. Most of our persons who've done programs, many of them come up with distinctions and so on. We've having that year after year. You know.
All right, so it definitely sounds like it's going to be an interesting time to be had by all. As you mentioned, it will be here on CBC TV8. So make sure you go Olympic BB on Instagram, follow and like. Thank you both for coming in and sharing. And, vote for your favorite athletes. I mean, they all have such an interesting story. Maybe think about Sade and the work that she's been able to do. Matthew, he had so many challenges, even in the conditions in France this time around with the Seine, and he never once complained. He just wanted to do well for his family. And as we go through the list, Isis Gaskin has done very well. Heidi, I mean, talk about how Heidi performed this time around, and so many other athletes as well. So make sure you do your little research. I know that you want to vote for the ones who might be tied to your schools or what have you as well. But it's good to really check out and see what they're doing. I mean, Finn Armstrong, all of them have really been performing quite credibly. So make sure you weigh in on the People's Choice Award. We get a chance, we get a say as well. So this is our time. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Thank you for
having us.
Yeah, we have to have a rematch.
We will. And we'll be in People's Choice next year.
We'll be People's Choice? Yeah. Trouble. We'll tell you more about that rematch. We'll tell you more about that rematch at a later date. All right, time for another break here on Morning Barbados. Remember, you have an opportunity to win in the Jingle and Win competition coming up. All you have to do is call us up and answer a simple question, and you could be taking home some fabulous prizes, compliments of Standard and powered by Flow. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. It's time to jingle all the way and win. This is with the compliments of Standard Distribution on Wildy and powered by Flow. And I'm bound to wear this. It's matching with my shirt today. It's pretty colorful. You know how that goes. All right, so it's just about 8 minutes to go before. I know you're not in a rush because you have to go buy some curtains or something. You go shopping or just window shopping. That's A-okay at this time of year as well. All right, so make sure you make it down to Standard to see what to offer. You won't be. So today we are giving away, these are token things on the set, but today up for grabs we have a cutlery set, very lovely cutlery set from Standard. It's nicely boxed, very, very beautiful. And we're also giving away a blender. All right, so you see these, but we are giving away one of 3 of those things, and also some great accessories for your tables or wherever you will be storing them. All you have to do is answer a simple question. Like I told you, we want to make sure that when you win something on Morning Barbados, it's not something that you want to regift. It's something that you feel confident about and you want to display beautifully in your home. All right, so here is your question for today with your chance to jingle all the way and win. Remember, you're calling 228-5562 or 228-5563 for your chance to win. Here's the question. What city were the McAllisters going to for a holiday vacation in Home Alone, the 1990 film? Now, yesterday, we asked you about which film was the highest grossing Christmas film of all time, and that took us back to 2018 with The Grinch. Today, Home Alone is one of those Christmas movie classics that you can't go through the Christmas season if you love movies without watching again and again, and certainly introducing it to a new generation as well. As I mentioned yesterday, Macaulay Culkin is now a man in his late 40s, so you go figure. All right, with that said, you have this chance to win by telling me the name of the city where the McAllisters were going for their holiday vacation on that fateful day that they left their son at home. All right, to the phone lines we go. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I am Dion and I'm calling from Christchurch.
Good morning, Dion in Christchurch. Are you a Christmas person?
Yes, I am.
Of course. Were you playing Christmas music from October?
From November.
Okay, you got away just a little bit. Do you have the answer? Which city were the McAllisters going to for holiday vacation in Home Alone?
Yes, I have the answer. It was Paris.
It was Paris. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think you would ever be leaving Barbados for Paris and somehow leave one of your children at home?
Not in particular, not at all. Unless
absolutely.
That child is grown, but Kevin wasn't grown.
It's true, absolutely crazy, but they were definitely a little discombobulated. So we understand that. We wish you the very best. I'm going to give you an opportunity not to necessarily pick a number, but you get to choose which one you want to have. So the cutlery set, which is very, very beautiful. It features some knives and forks and spoons. You can get it in gold, rose gold, or silver. And then, of course, a blender. So, you know, which is your choice?
The former, please, with gold.
Oh, so you're going to take the cutlery set with gold.
Yes.
That is an excellent choice. You won't be disappointed. So thank you. But is that movie Home Alone a favorite of yours?
Yes, it resonates well from donkey years ago. And it never gets old.
It's true. I think for me, my favorite part is how he's able to set all of these, as we would call them, booby traps for the robbers.
Yes, and they outfit themselves, and really, they should really have a newer version of this Home Alone.
Absolutely, an updated version. All right, well, thank you. Any special plans for Christmas this time around? Family, friends? Are you going to take it quiet? How is it going to work out for you?
I'll take it quietly in anticipation of 2025.
You know, Caribbean people say that, but they don't really mean it, right? They're like, oh, it's going to be quiet. Just 50 of my closest friends will be passing by. I'm going to cook every single dish that I can possibly pull together. Is it that kind of quiet?
That kind of quiet. What about you? What are you to do?
Well, we usually do family. You know, we're a close-knit family. You know how it goes. So I say every year, I am not going to cook everything I can find in this house. And then Christmas morning, I'm cooking everything I can find in the house. Yeah, but you know, it's fun when you get all the little ones together and you see the sisters and friends pass by. There's nothing like it.
Right, and it's not one day for me, it's 12, so.
Yeah, so you get to do other stuff. But do you bake and all of that stuff as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so you still do all of that stuff that we grew up knowing about.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember there used to be a girl in my neighborhood named Jackie. And she used to come and help my mother mix the sugar, cream the sugar and the butter. Yes. She was good at that. And I thought it was easy until they let me try. But I was helpful in other ways. I would clean the pan when they were done, fingers and all. And the spoon was mine. These days, for some reason, they say you can't have the raw batter. But those are good days for us, right?
Yes.
All right, so congratulations. I wish you and yours the very best for the holiday season.
It is. Thank you. Last week was my birthday, so this is a nice gift.
Oh, that's beautiful. Don't hang up. We have Dawn and Roel in the back, and they're going to take your information so that we can make sure we get that gift to you. Thank you so much, Dawn. All right. How about that? Easy, just like that. We are going to display some of the other items for you tomorrow. Remember, this goes all the way to the end of the year. We're giving away a prize every single day with the compliments of Standard and powered by Flow. Do stay with us. Coming up, we have an update of the news. But after the news, we're going to have a very, very deep and interesting discussion as we talk about, I talked about the merriment of the season, but it doesn't feel that way for everybody. So how do we deal with that? And how do we help those among us who are not as jovial as we expect them to be around this time of year? That's all coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics, Guardian General Insurance Limited, and the Cut and Dry.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you on this December 17th. It's time for an update of the news. I'm Tisha Hines. The Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers is appealing to those responsible for the affairs of the advocate to do right by current and former employees who are still due outstanding salaries. In a press release, Barjam's president, Ryan Broom, said to date, no statement has been made about the advocate's present status or future, notwithstanding the company's involvement in larger court proceedings. The last time advocate workers received payment was March of this year. That payment was intended to cover half payment for April 2023, while the other half is still owed to the workers.
At this time of year, when the emphasis is on celebration, prayerful reflection, and families, the Barbados Association of Journalists and Media Workers is making an urgent appeal to those responsible for the affairs of the Barbados Advocate to do right by its current and former employees who are still due outstanding salaries. Now, to date, no official public statement has been forthcoming from those currently responsible for the Advocate about its present status or its future, notwithstanding the company's involvement in larger court proceedings related to the estate of the former Advocate owner, Sir Anthony Bryan. Now, this continued lack of information has resulted in some employees being left with no choice but to seek alternative employment to be able to provide for their families and meet their monthly obligations. At the same time, there are other members of staff who have continued to stay the course and have tried to work with the company through its challenges. Barjam understands that the last time such workers received payment was March of this year, and that payment was intended to cover half payment for the month of April 2023, while the other half of payment for April 2023 is still owed to workers. Now, the workers say they have been told in response that the company has been seeking to recoup monies owed on an ongoing basis. Barjam is hopeful that whomever the proverbial buck currently stops at as it relates to ownership and management, that they will do their utmost to help end this ongoing nightmare for affected employees. Whether that is ultimately in the form of officially closing the chapter on Barbados' oldest newspaper with an appropriate settlement arrangement with current and past employees who are still owed, or an indication that the company will be resuming full operation at some future date, the reality is that the saga has been dragging on for far too long and begs for closure.
Now, Mr. Broom says the remitting staff at the Advocate are uneasy about the situation given the value of the newspaper, the impact it has had in the development of the country for more than 125 years.
Staff say they merely want what they have worked for, even as the court battles over ownership continue. They are also upset with the upkeep of the outside of the plant in recent times. They say they remain hopeful that the company can be revived. Meanwhile, Barjam is also appealing to the relevant labour authorities to give this matter some urgent attention and to also do everything to ensure that, through appropriate legislation, situations such as these are not allowed to recur at any companies in Barbados in the future.
Now, 2 men have been charged in connection with the murders of Junior DeCarlo Tate and Randy Ken O'Brien Brathwaite, whose remains were found recently by police. The men charged are Samir Jamaldo Wilfred, 25 years, of Cox Hill Church Village, St. Philip, and Old Post Office Road, St. George, and Ian Kenrick Gittins, 61, of no fixed place of abode. Wilfred and Gittins appeared before Magistrate Joyanne Clark earlier yesterday in the District C Magistrates Court, which is currently sitting at the Oistins Magistrates Complex. Both men have been remanded to Dodds Prison and will reappear in court on January 13th of 2025. The charges follow a recent 24-hour operation by police in Henley, St. John, where officers discovered human remains in a bushy area. A medical expert subsequently visited the scene and confirmed the remains were those of the 2 adult males. Meanwhile, officers of the Major Crimes Unit have arrested and charged Lamar Akil Waith, 34 years old, of Lovell Road, Messiah Street, St. John. He has been charged with possession of a firearm, ammunition, and all on December 10th. Waith appeared before Joyanne Clark in the District C Magistrates Court over in the Oistins Complex. He's scheduled to reappear in court on January 13th, 2025, after being remanded to Dodds Prison. Bridgetown vendors are expecting a last-minute rush in Christmas shopping. Store owners and street vendors were of an optimistic nature when they were visited by our Trevor Thorpe.
There's a level of optimism from store owners and street vendors in Bridgetown. Inside at Impact Boutique, manager Natasha Christopher says she is fully stocked for the occasion. She is also already closing much later than usual and is awaiting the last-minute rush.
I would say so-so. Over the weekend wasn't bad, but last week was slow, but hopefully this week things will pick up. You know, Barbadians, last-minute people, we sell lingerie. So it would more be like probably like the control stuff, sexy stuff, you know, pajamas and stuff like that for the holidays.
Shopper Steffi Batson says she is Santa Claus today to beat the Christmas rush.
Kids' toys and kids' clothes for my godchildren. And just clothes really in red. That's it for me.
Vendor Jason Trotman has an invitation with a message.
Air fresheners, essence, darts, lighters, getting grinders. I got trooper scissors, like the fuel flakes, drones and rays. Centronella for the mosquitoes and sandflies. If you want to stay alive, 20 in the box of 5. Don't be stupid, be wise, or get penalized, paralyzed, chastised, or hospitalized. The mosquitoes out to kill. Don't let them at you right, you will. Essence, resumes, getting grinders.
Vendor Ann Hall says the entire family has been taken into consideration at her stall with no one left out. She shares with us how business is going.
A little slow right now, but they can pick up. Right now people looking for curtains and other things, and when done, they're going to come for gifts. So we're still waiting. I have bags, shoes, gift bags, underwear, jewelry.
At Susan Griffith's stall, she talks of offering some of the in-demand items and is also looking forward to the traditional 11th hour boost in sales.
People were asking for buys, but where they actually want the brand name buys.
The countdown is on with 8 shopping days left until Christmas. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
All right, definitely some optimism there. 2 new projects will be rolled out in the St. Michael's Southeast constituency in the coming months to benefit the elderly and those receiving palliative care. These initiatives are being spearheaded by Member of Parliament, Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, as she seeks to meet some of the specific needs of the elderly constituents. Anesta Henry has that report.
Member of Parliament for St. Michael South East and Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw will be launching a project to focus on providing the elderly with assisted devices and the program to provide meals for seniors in the constituency. She made the announcement while addressing specially invited guests attending a Christmas dinner for seniors. Ms. Bradshaw says the project will be named after the late Mary Clark, a stalwart of the Barbados Labour Party.
When we launch the Mary Clark project, it will focus on assisted devices that will benefit a number of the elderly in our community, as well as persons who are in the palliative care stage particularly, and who are obviously in need of assistance. I would also want to mention that program, as I said, we've already got a number of things on the way coming in. So again, if persons are interested in receiving any assistance for their families or persons within the community, again, you feel free to let us know so that we can reach out and we can assist.
She says a soup kitchen will be coming to the constituency in January.
They are on board to be able to work with me, to be able to do a program that is going to be able to help us to feed some people during the day, and also to have some activities taking place at the community center to be able to keep people active. Once they can get there, or we have to provide transportation to keep our elderly people active.
And while voicing concerns that too many elderly folks in the constituency are not getting the care they deserve, Deputy Prime Minister Bradshaw is calling on younger constituents to look out for their seniors.
It may be the assistance in terms of having somebody sitting with them. It may be just, dietary requirements, whether it's the glucerma, the Ensure, a bottle of Alcalada, a carton of Benjis. These are simple things sometimes that make the difference in terms of us being able to have that outreach for our elderly population.
During the event hosted by the Make a Difference Foundation under the patronage of the Deputy Prime Minister, the seniors were treated to a night of entertainment and a dinner prepared and served by the Barbados Vocational Training Board and the Barbados Community College Hospitality Institute. Several attendees received long service awards for their contributions to the constituency. Among them was Anthony Williams, who was recognized for many years of unwavering support to others. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
In sports, a new test team coach and a new chief executive officer are among the changes announced by Cricket West Indies, which are geared towards developing and improving both the men's and women's teams in 2025. The news was revealed during a live media conference in St. Vincent. CBC's Anmar Goodrich-Boyce reports.
Jamaican businessman Chris Darren, Managing Director and CEO of ICC Cricket World Cup 2007, has been appointed as the new Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies on a 3-year deal. This was among several major announcements made by CWI officials during the quarterly media update. President Dr. Kishore Shallow described this year as a successful one for CWI and believes Darren's appointment is testimony to recruiting exceptional leadership to drive the West Indies forward. Shallow says they're looking forward to more improvements next year.
We have seen some improvement on the field. Of course, our T20 team has been climbing the rankings over the last year. I think we started maybe when Darren became coach. We were probably ranked at number 8 or number 9 thereabout. And we have been for the last few months between number 3 and number 4. So that is obviously testament to the hard work that Coach Darren, Skipper Raffman, and the entire team and backroom staff have put in over the years. And I'm sure that we're going to finish 2024 on a high with a successful series against Bangladesh. Our women, we can't forget them. They have also been performing really well, particularly in T20.
There's also movement in the coaching position as well. White ball coach Darren Sammy will become the head coach of all senior men's teams from April 1st, 2025. It's a position Sammy has embraced.
They've called upon to help out
West Indies in any way. I believe in processes, something that we've been able to do in the white ball format. And with this new role, I've already mapped out some of the areas and some of the processes that we'll have to follow in order for us to be successful.
Among other things, CWI and Cage Caribbean signed a projected US $100 million partnership for a regional lottery to help fund cricket development. And a new domestic T20 tournament is on the cards for April 2025. And more Goodrich Boys, CBC Sports.
And that's our update of the news. Remember, we have a full package coming your way at 12 noon here on CBC TV 8. If you're on the move, tune into our radio stations, Q100.7 FM, 98.1 or 94.7 FM, where we simulcast the world at 1. It's time for another break here on Morning Barbados, but there's a lot more coming up, so do stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:18 on this Tuesday morning. How many days left till Christmas? I can count on my two hands. You can too. So tell me, how many days left? That's how we're counting. But we want to get to the other side of things at this time. So joining me on set, I have Caroline Rock, who is a counseling psychologist with Supreme Counseling for Personal Development. Good morning to you, and wonderful to have you here with us.
Good morning, Tisha. Good morning, Barbados.
Absolutely. Let me start by saying that Supreme Counseling for Personal Development is all they say they are. I've personally used your services, and it is great that there are organizations that you can reach out to when you need it. Yes. I think that's important for us to kind of underpin our discussion with that. A lot of the times we're empowering people with information, but we don't tell them how they can reach out to get the help they need if they need it. Now, just over a week ago, or just a few days ago, not even a week, I don't think, we heard of a fatal accident that happened. And the information that came after that, was equally as heartbreaking, because we heard that there were a number of employees and maybe friends as well who had left a staff function and who did not make it home. So I want to take a look at, how things like this can impact people's Christmases, not only in terms of what's happening now, but in the workspace, and how they're able to move forward and view this specific time of year where there's such merriment and where people are seemingly so happy, but they experience tragedy. Yeah? How are you able to, or where should you start in trying to mend these types of situations?
Okay, to go through any form of trauma, it is very difficult for individuals. But to think of you being just here with someone, and then, moments later, you hear that they have been in a tragic accident, and they're gone. They're gone, and they're not coming back. And, they were just here, they were talking, we were enjoying ourselves, and that person is gone. It's very traumatic. The first thing that will come is a shock. You are shocked. Some persons are numb. And then, you are like in denial. That's not real. And you just can't understand it. And that's the first stage that you go through. And that's part of a grieving process. But how do you come back from there? Especially if it's someone in your workplace. And we're gonna, because that has been so recent, we will probably look at someone in the workplace, and there are lots of people going through this grieving process now for the loss of an employee, and therefore you need some form of counseling. You need to be able to talk about this, to be able to express your feelings. So having someone or persons come into the organization, and have all the staff come together and, express themselves. You need to express yourself. You need to have people listening to how you are feeling, and you're able to speak about that individual. You're able to reminisce about the good times, you're able to cry, express yourself in any way you want to. On those occasions, people cry. Some people break down. Some people just, can't handle it. They may get up and walk away. But however, you allow persons to express how they are feeling and encourage them to talk about it. Be a good listener to persons, and different people express themselves in different ways. But being able to listen to persons and have them express themselves helps tremendously in that occasion.
All right, for employers, how are you able to, what would be your best advice to them on how they can be most sympathetic and empathetic at this time? Particularly, we know that this is the time of year where people are rushing to make their year-end budgets, and for many businesses, this is where they make their most money, and nobody wants to talk about business or making money where there's a conversation about death. So in many instances, there can be broken relationships with management, with those charged with leading the organization, because people might say, they're concentrating on the bottom line where there was loss of life. We've all heard this conversation where people say, you know, when you die, they're going to replace you. So, you know, why give all of that? So what can they do to ensure that they show that sympathetic air? Some of them might be grieving as well, still within the realm of doing good business. You still have to show good face to your public, especially for those who are public-facing employees. You know, how are people in management positions, people of authority, positions of authority or owners, what would be your best advice to them in navigating these types of situations?
My advice to any employer would be this. First, no one likes disruption of business because it affects the bottom line. But there are times that this will happen. And there are times that you have to pause. You have to pause. You have to be respectful and pause. You can do things like, you know, bring in some counselors, have all the employees together in one room or different rooms according to sizes, but have some form of counseling for them, where someone will come and talk to them and give them the opportunity to express how they feel. There are some who may need further counseling to that.
Now, we know that some people experience fragility in other areas when it comes to this time of year, whether it's because they lost someone or because they're not able to provide for their families in the way that they would like to. So it can be a really miserable time for some people. Even though we are celebrating, there are some people who, for them, Christmas is bah humbug. You know, your best advice to them in terms of being able to cope throughout the Christmas period, where everybody seemingly is in a jovial mode, but you are not. So talk to this about how this can impact someone and what they can do to get past it.
Okay. The Christmas season, although everyone is jolly and happy, you'd find that this is the time that lots of people also are sad. And sadness can come from, as you said, not having, you know, enough, not knowing where you're going to get what you want to get it from. But again, I will say, no man is an island. You have to reach out. You, the individual, have to reach out. There are lots of persons in society who cater to those who don't have. They may not know all of them, but the individual can reach out. The individual can also join themselves to a group. A church group is good because churches will look after you. I'm certain of that. I can tell you that for you know, from experience. They will look after you. They make sure you have a meal, that your children are taken care of. Your bills, some bills are paid. They will do that, you know. And also, there are times that you yourself have to sit back and understand your situation. You may have to speak to your children as well. Talk to them. Let them know this is the situation. We're going to reach out for help, but we may not always get all that we want. And learn contentment. That's a good time to teach contentment. But I am sure that there are people that looks after these people. I can understand as a mother not having enough for your children. That is not a situation that anyone would want to go through. It's a very deep situation when you are expected to provide and you don't have. But as I would say, the advice I would give, don't sit and go through it alone. Reach out. Reach out to someone in the community. Reach out to someone in the church.
So where there's assistance, make use of that assistance.
Yes.
To be able to, provide for you or your family in whatever way that you can.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So we're going to continue our discussion after this break and talk about maybe moving past pride. There are a lot of people who they don't know how to ask for help.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know how to accept help. And then there may be some people in your space and you're not sure if this might be time to intervene or reach out for help on their behalf. We're going to look at that coming up next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And to
morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you and welcome back to Morning Barbados. Today is Tuesday, the 17th of December, and we put so much emphasis during this time of year on giving and receiving and merriment that sometimes we forget there are people among us who are not in that jovial spirit. So Caroline Rock is a counseling psychologist with Supreme Counseling for Personal Development, and I strong-armed the CEO and I told him, listen, we need to have this discussion. At what point, Caroline, what are some of the things you're looking for? Because I know initially when we talked about the grief and how it can impact people in the workplace, we've not even touched on family as yet. But, you mentioned a few of the stages of grief. So if we can go back through that and then maybe move into what signs might be there that you might need to escalate getting help for a relative or friend in time of need.
Okay. We can probably go through the 5 stages of grief. Where you get to the shock stage, the denial stage, you get to the when, okay, you can't believe this has happened, and not this person, he just left here, and you go through that. Then you go through anger. Sometimes you go through anger, and it's like, why did this have to happen? Why this person? Why? You get, when he was such a nice person, why he was taken away? Why he was so yeah, and you're angry. Then you can go to denial. No, this has not happened to this individual. Then you can go into depression. Now that is the stage when a person begins to withdraw, or you may think or you may seem that they are grieving for too long now. Maybe a year has gone and 2 years has gone and they are not able to get themselves together. You can obviously see they're not taking care of themselves. They're not interested in things they used to be interested before. You know, they're acting differently. They seem not to have, you know, any zeal for life. And you know that person is going into the depression stage. This is the stage where, yes, you need help. You need help. You need to go, you know, seek counseling. And you can get your help in the counseling. And then after that depression stage, you come to the acceptance stage. Everyone don't have to go through the stages
in order.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you skip some stages, and some people may just go from, you know, the first stage into depression stage. So you monitor people. Whenever someone goes through trauma or loss, you monitor them. And sometimes we think loss is just a loss of life. But it can be loss of relationships. You know, there are different loss. You monitor them. You stay close to them, your physical presence. You know, you check up on them to see where they are at. And, you know, if they go into that depression stage, you direct them to help.
Yeah, we often talk about get counseling, but from your perspective, what do you think counseling can do for someone who's going through a tough situation, who has lost a colleague, who's lost a loved one, who's lost a relationship? You know, what does counseling do? So let's get into kind of the anatomy of counseling and what the aims are in going through this process.
Okay. First, the aims are to bring you into a better space than you are at present. Now, counseling is a very safe space, it's very confidential. And very often the things that you would not say to normal persons, you are free to say them in a space where you are with a counselor. And therefore, you're open up now, and you're free to express, you know, your deepest fears and, you know, everything that is in there. And somehow when you express yourself, one, you feel a lot better just by telling someone about, you know, something you could not say before. And then, you know, after you've spoken out, there are different, what we would call solutions. You have solutions. It's solution-based to whatever you express. For instance, it may be your thoughts, the way you're thinking. For instance, we're going back to grieving. Somebody died, tragic. You know, if I had not asked for the drop and he had to divert, he would not have gotten into the accident. And that is your thought. So I'm to blame. So that will come out in a counseling session. And then
if I had delayed them leaving a little longer.
You got it.
You know, if I'd stopped them from doing this or the other.
Right.
So they're kind of maybe bargaining with themselves a little bit.
Yes. And blame, there's blame as well. So then counseling would, you know, the counselor would allow the person to realize, but do you control, are you in control of what happens?
Yeah.
We can't control,
It helps
then
them cope a little better.
A little better.
What are some of the other ways that people around, people who might be going through depression or having a challenging time with grief at this time of year, or who might just be having a tough time generally, what are some of the ways that we can help them? We might not be, you know, have the experience of counseling psychologists, but I know it can be quite difficult to be around people who are not feeling well mentally and emotionally. So what are some of the ways that we can help our loved ones cope?
Okay, speaking from my experience, be present. You need the presence of friends or loved ones around. And sometimes I mean the physical presence to, show that person that you are there with them. Allow them to express themselves and allow them to express themselves in any way they feel to. Different people express differently. So you're listening, you're going to be present. Sometimes you may just, hold their hands and, as they talk and, squeeze their hand. And sometimes you may, with permission, give them a hug. You can also do some practical things for them. When you're grieving, you don't think about cooking. Someone can be there to come, bring a meal for you. Something as simple as answering the telephone. When the phone is just going, because people are calling you, to express condolences, and that is overwhelming. So just having someone there to answer that phone, and you can choose which calls you're going to take and which ones you're going to, call back later. So just having someone there to do that. You don't need someone telling you, well, okay, you can cry, or it's time to stop crying now.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I know for me, though, sometimes it's a challenge. If something has happened, you're kind of between minds as in if you should reach out or if you shouldn't. Yeah. What's your take on that? Because for some people, if people don't reach out, they feel like they don't care. And for others, they don't want to hear anybody. So how do you maybe find the middle ground, particularly when you can't have a conversation to ask them what they prefer?
Okay, all depends on your relationship with that person. There's some people you expect them to show up. And I believe based on your closeness, it's a brother, sister, cousin, based on your closeness to the individual, you can determine what you have to do. Being close, you have to come in person. Yeah, even if you don't talk to them, you are there in the house because others might be there. And you're just sitting and, you just come. I'm here for you. Anything that you want, just give me a call, and you may leave depending on the circumstances.
Just like you said, just be present.
Yes.
So we know that financial stress can intensify during this season, and it's not only adults that feel the pressure.
Yes.
The little ones, sometimes, they feel like if they don't get a PlayStation, they're going to die. I mean, if they don't get this new outfit to wear somewhere or go somewhere, it's going to be the end of their life. How do you manage that?
Part of managing that depends on the household you grew up in. If you were taught up front that maybe I may not get anything for Christmas, if I do get, I'm going to be grateful. But there's a chance I may not get. And you're taught, well, look, be thankful, or, in whatever stage you are in. Then there are some people who feel they must get something, regardless. And they go out of their way to ask for it. And then, as I said before, there are organizations, and I will always say the church, I'm a Christian. The church, if you are part of a church, they would be looking, I can tell you when Christmas comes, they'll be looking to see who they have to take care of.
And to move on how they can assist you as well.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us, Caroline. You definitely have to come back. I think that you've whet our appetites for some of the things that we need to look out for, and the responses that we can give what stays with me from this conversation is what you said about being present. So, you know, you can be in a space with a lot of people and still be incredibly lonely. It's important that you understand what it means to be present. Even now, as we look at people, sometimes they're out to dinner and everybody's on their phone. They're not necessarily having a conversation. They're not engaged. They're not present. And that can make all the difference. So thank you so much. And thanks to Supreme Counseling for Personal Development for facilitating this segment. Remember, if you feel like you need assistance, you might not be feeling your best, you might be a little down, whether it's because you've lost someone or you're feeling the financial pressures of this time of year, reach out for the assistance that you need. It most certainly is available. Thanks again for your time, Caroline.
You're welcome.
All right, time for another break here on Morning Barbados. Coming up, we're going to take a nice flashback as we work toward the end of the year. We're showing you some of our highlights from throughout this season.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 14 minutes to go before 8 o'clock. There are some moments that happen in your life, at work, at home, at play, whatever you're doing, that stay with you. And for me, one of the things that we wanted to reflect on as we move toward the end of the year is the awesome relationship that we have with many of the organizations charged with taking care of the disabled, or the umbrella bodies who really advocate for them. And here on Morning Barbados, we take pride in the fact that, you know, we are their ally. And, you know, we look forward to sharing. We look forward to a fully accessible Barbados. So just a few weeks ago, we had Senator Andwele Boyce come in to share with us. Of course, he is the newly minted, one part of it, disability advocate here in Barbados. And we're working toward having legislation laid in Parliament for basic human rights for those people who are disabled among us. We had a brief conversation with him, and it was so impactful that we wanted to share it with you again.
To be here. Good morning, Barbados.
It's good to have you with us on this day, and I'd like to kind of reflect on all the work that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Congratulations, firstly, are in order for being named as a disabilities advocate. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you?
It means that I get to contribute to spearheading the work around the improvement of the lives of persons with disabilities. Over the last 2 years, as we have crafted policy and crafted legislation, I've been deeply involved in every aspect of consultation, ultimately crafting and certainly bringing the message to Barbadians, because, Tisha, as you're aware, this isn't just about the static legislation. I think what Barbados needs to do is to shift culture. And my colleague and I, Jingle, Odo, have the honor of helping Barbados through that conversation of shifting the culture to improving the lives of persons with disabilities, because the realities so far have not been ones where we have centered or paid enough attention to the lives of persons with disabilities. And so Janelle and I get the honor of leading Barbados through that conversation.
And I've had the good pleasure of kind of watching you grow up, which is a good thing. It kind of ages me a little.
Just a little.
But you were here as a very young man. I'm trying to bring you along on this age journey. In 2008 as an intern.
Yes.
What was that experience like, being here at CBC, even as we look toward legislation that offers more of that opportunity to the disabled?
So a fun tidbit is that I grew up wanting to be a broadcaster. I think you're aware of that. Tisha was my the one I tagged along with the most in radio here. And telling the stories of persons with disabilities, marginalized people, has always been very important to me. So that to have the opportunity to do this here with you on this International Day of Persons with Disabilities is perfect.
Now, I was saying all morning, fingers crossed. We're wondering if the legislation will be laid in Parliament today. I know you've had tons of meetings, close to 100, consultations. Minister Humphrey, the PS, they've been working tirelessly with the entire team. I know PS Wilshire is always kind of up front as well, which is wonderful to see. Will it be laid in Parliament today?
So sadly, it will not be laid in Parliament today. It would have been poetic for it to be laid on the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, but certainly we've taken the opportunity over the next couple of weeks to continue the conversation and to enhance the level of consultation. Like I said, this is going to be groundbreaking for Barbadians, so we want to ensure that all Barbadians are engaged and involved in the process. And so we're just near the end. We hope to lay in December. So fingers crossed we will lay in December, but just not today.
As my mother loves to say, we don't have as far to go as we've come.
Exactly. Taking time and wasting time.
It's true as far as the legislation is concerned. But for you, what are some of the key priorities that really kind of strike a nerve with you, or you're really excited about with the legislation?
So that's like asking a mother to choose between, or father to choose between their favorite child. So education is critically important for obvious reasons, because we need to build that foundation of capacity in persons with disabilities. And we know that the reality for persons with disabilities in the context of education has not been equitable, has not been always accessible. And so education is critically important. Health is critically important as well. I saw you having a conversation with the CEO of the QEH earlier, and certainly the the need for synergies between the disability policy and the outputs of the QEH are going to be essential as we hope to improve public health, but also things like sports and entertainment and those kinds of things as well. Because as I say often, every facet of Barbadian life has to be available and accessible to persons with disabilities. I think very often we think about education and health and housing, but we don't necessarily take the time to ensure that the fun and the frolic and the frivolities of being Barbadian are available to persons with disabilities. And the law does some of that as well.
Yeah, just having fun is, at the core of having a great life and just enjoying your space. It must be really challenging to hear so many people coming here to Barbados and enjoying the landscape and not be able to enjoy it as well. And most certainly not by choice, but because you don't have a choice. So I had occasion to engage with you guys in one of the workshops, and one thing that stays with me with the legislation that is to be laid, what you're proposing, is the whole idea of quotas, to kind of grapple with and fight head on this challenge of having so many people who are unemployed, who are disabled. I think that's very, very, very important. And that's one of the things that's really top of my list.
Indeed. So 90% of persons with disabilities are unemployed. It's a startling statistic.
Let's rest on that for a minute. 90% of persons with disabilities are unemployed.
Yeah. And so the policy and the legislation will take a position about quotas, certainly in the public sector, with a view to enhancing the employment of persons with disabilities and certainly working towards the greater employment of persons with disabilities. Because I think very often in the context of social policy, in the context of disability policy, we think, or we have thought in the past, that there will always be someone to take care of a person with a disability, right? With no reference to whether that is true for every individual person with a disability or whether that is desirable. Certainly because there are people with disabilities who want to contribute to their own well-being, their own independence. And so the legislation in multiple ways addresses the issue of employment through quotas, through things like redeployment as well, because we have had a culture of sending home, for want of a better term, or to use the Barbadian vernacular, persons who become disabled during their course of employment. And that becomes a burden a weight on the social security system. So that we need to reimagine all of those things with a view to creating a more accessible and inclusive Barbados.
Absolutely. It's all about being accessible and inclusive. And, we support that 100%.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
94.7 FM with the kind compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL and Probiotics, Guardian General Insurance Limited, and the Cut.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we had Anthony Jordan, the decorator, here with us yesterday, and he did this beautiful wreath just in front of me. You can see it here on display, quite gorgeous. We're going to give you an opportunity to win this. All you have to do is share your beautifully decorated home or spaces or your ornaments, what you intend to do, and you can win this beautiful wreath. Now, we know of one such lady. She has definitely gone over the top, or has she, with her decor or makeup artist mom. She decided to take a shot of the house and share it with us. Check it out. Now, those are a lot. Those are a ton of Christmas decorations. She can definitely rival our set here on Morning Barbados. Thanks so much to our sponsor, Jordan Supermarket. Make sure to get out to one of the 4 locations for your big chance to win with them. Thanks as well to Flow, who power our daily giveaway along with standard distribution on Wildy, where quality is a lifestyle. And you can get it with a chance to win this fabulous wreath that was done live on set here just yesterday by decorator Anthony Jordan by sending us your short videos or your beautiful pictures as well. Remember, you're sending it to morningbarbados@cbc.bb. That's it from us for today. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to spend some time with Bamboo Retreat. We want to make sure you're getting that health care in as well. Plus, a new release by Shardilla Blake. We'll tell you about that. Boom Canoe Kids channel. It's very interesting for the little ones. And we'll tell you about the Joseph Payne Memorial Athletic Classic. That and more tomorrow. Have a great day shopping today, and we'll see you, God willing, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning.